He came across a young black girl sitting alone on the sidewalk, and 10 years later, something miraculous unfolded. She was just a little girl, soaked, sitting alone on a sidewalk as hundreds of people passed her by. No name, no shoes, no one looking for her. But then, one man stopped. What began with a borrowed jacket would soon unravel a story of buried secrets, and a fate that followed so powerful it could silence crowds. 10 years later, the world would know. Listen to today's story until the end to find out, and please subscribe to our channel. Please also let us know which country you're listening from. The morning rain had ended, but the streets still glistened with puddles. Sunlight struggled through the gray clouds, bouncing off the damp pavement and the occasional passing car. The city was slowly waking up, sidewalks busy with people shaking out umbrellas and rushing by. But amidst all this, nobody noticed the girl. Nobody, except for Mr. Walter Hughes. Walter was returning from the grocery store, his tan jacket zipped up to his neck, a brown paper bag cradled under one arm. He nearly stumbled when he spotted her, a small black girl, no more than 6, curled up against a lamppost on the edge of the sidewalk. Her pale green and white dress clung to her soaked body, stained and heavy with rain. She had no shoes, no bag, and no coat. Knees pulled tightly to her chest, her cheek rested against the wet concrete like it was the softest thing left in her world. Walter froze. People continued walking around her. A few looked. None stopped. He knelt carefully beside her. "Sweetheart, can you hear me?" he asked softly. Her eyes fluttered open halfway, large brown eyes that looked empty like she'd cried herself dry. "You okay?" he asked again. "Cold," she whispered. That was all he needed. Walter placed his bag down, slipped off his jacket, and gently wrapped it around her soaked body. She didn't resist as he lifted her in his arms. Instead, she buried her face in his shoulder as if he'd always been there. Without hesitation, he carried her straight home. His apartment was small, cluttered with memories and filled with warmth. Photos of his late wife and daughter sat on the shelves. He hadn't raised a child in years, but seeing that little girl curled up on his old couch, sound asleep without a word, stirred something in him. After drying her off and feeding her soup, Walter gently asked, "What's your name?" "Naomi," she murmured. "Do you know where your parents are?" he asked. She shook her head. "Did someone hurt you?" She said nothing. That night, she slept on the couch, a blanket draped over her, and Walter's jacket still snug around her shoulders. The next morning, Walter contacted Child Services. He explained everything. They sent a social worker named Kimberly. She interviewed Naomi, took her photo, searched through databases. No matches, no missing persons report, no identification, nobody looking. "She might be undocumented," Kimberly said gently, "or abandoned, quietly. It happens." "What now?" Walter asked. "Well, foster homes are full," she replied. "But if you're willing, we can fast-track you as a temporary guardian." Without pause, Walter said, "I'll care for her, for as long as she needs." Days turned into weeks. Naomi spoke little, but stayed close. She sat beside Walter at breakfast, waited quietly when he took out the trash. Her silence wasn't empty. It was cautious, like she was watching the world for signs it was safe again. One afternoon, Walter noticed her beside the old upright piano that once belonged to his wife. Her small fingers traced the keys without pressing them. "You like it?" he asked. Naomi nodded. "Go ahead." She hesitated, then tapped a key. Then another. A broken scale echoed out. The notes didn't match, but something in her quiet movements made Walter pause and watch. That evening, she returned to the piano, playing the same broken scale again. And then again the next day. She never spoke while playing. She just listened and felt. Then, one Sunday morning, while Walter made breakfast, he heard something that made him drop his spatula. Music. Real music. He rushed into the living room, and there she was. Eyes closed, shoulders swaying, playing a melody he hadn't heard in years, Amazing Grace. And it was beautiful. "Naomi," he whispered. She stopped and looked up, worried. "I just heard it once at church," she said. "I wanted to try." Walter knelt beside her. "You didn't try, baby. You did. And it was amazing." She gave him her first real smile, soft and shy. As the months passed, Naomi opened up more. She hummed to herself, doodled in notebooks, asked questions. Her favorite thing was still the piano, especially in the afternoon sunlight when the blinds lit the keys like gold. Walter officially became her foster parent. Every Sunday at church, Naomi was invited to play. It began with simple hymns, then more intricate arrangements. The congregation always fell silent. Some cried. She plays like someone who's lived 1,000 lives, the pastor once said. Naomi didn't know how to respond. She just kept playing. One day, Walter walked in holding a flyer. Look, he said. There's a youth music competition next weekend. Piano division, no entry fee. Naomi looked uneasy. I don't want to win, she said. You don't have to, Walter replied. Just share your gift. What if they don't like it? They will, he smiled, because it's you. The auditorium was massive, full of families, judges, teenagers in polished outfits. Naomi wore a simple sky blue dress, neat white shoes Walter had saved for. When her name was called, she walked slowly on stage. The hall quieted. She sat, closed her eyes, and began to play, not loud, not flashy, but full of emotion. Like every note was a chapter of her story. When she finished, silence held the room. Then thunderous applause. A standing ovation. Backstage, Walter hugged her tight. You were perfect. For you, she whispered. Then a woman approached, elegant, holding a badge and tablet. Mr. Hughes, she asked. Yes, I'm with a music foundation for gifted youth. Your daughter is extraordinary. We'd like to offer her a full scholarship, lessons, mentorship, national performances. Walter blinked. You're serious? She's not just talented, the woman said. She's 1 in a million. As they left the building, grinning, Naomi suddenly froze. Across the parking lot, a man stood by a tree, watching, not clapping, not smiling, just staring. Then he quickly walked away. Walter noticed too. Do you know him? Naomi didn't answer. Her smile faded. Walter knew the story wasn't finished. Not yet. That night, Naomi couldn't stop thinking about the man. His face was unfamiliar, but her body had reacted instinctively, like a buried memory stirred awake. During dinner, Walter gently asked, Are you sure you don't know him? Naomi stared at her fork. No, but I think I used to. That evening, she sat at the piano but didn't play. Her fingers hovered above the keys, then lowered. What if my past finds me? She whispered. Walter knelt beside her. Then we face it together. Weeks passed. The scholarship became reality. Naomi began private music lessons. Her tutors called her a phenomenon. Her church performance videos went viral. One, titled The Piano Girl Who Slept on the Sidewalk, reached millions. Strangers wrote letters. Some sent gifts. But Walter kept her grounded, music, school, and the gentle rhythm of daily life. Then one fall afternoon, someone knocked at the door. Walter opened it. A woman in her early 40s stood there, dressed well, a small envelope trembling in her hand. Mr. Hughes? She asked. I'm Dr. Monique Hayes. I think I know Naomi. Walter froze. How? She opened the envelope. Inside was a faded photo, same green-white dress, same deep brown eyes. She's my niece. She disappeared 10 years ago. My brother was unstable. He took her from my sister and vanished. We thought they were both gone. Walter's voice shook. You're saying he abandoned her? Monique nodded. He was arrested 2 weeks ago for having forged IDs. He confessed. Said she wouldn't stop crying. So he left her. Naomi had entered the room just in time to hear those words. Her eyes met Monique's. Do you remember me, sweetheart? Monique asked. Naomi took a hesitant step back. You were in a picture. On a wall. I remember. DNA confirmed everything. Her mother had died not long after she vanished. No one had known where Naomi had gone. Monique had filed reports, pleaded with police. But the trail had gone cold. Now, she didn't want to take Naomi away. You raised her. You gave her a life. I just want to be part of her future. Walter looked to Naomi. It's your decision. She nodded slowly. You can come to my next concert. The performance was in a grand hall. At 15, Naomi wore a white blouse and soft gray pants. Her fingers floated across the grand piano with poise and soul. Her final piece was her own, titled Sidewalk to Sky. When she finished, the audience didn't just clap, they wept. Reporters, musicians, strangers alike were moved by a teenager whose music carried every scar and every dream. Backstage, Monique hugged her. Your mom would be so proud. Naomi smiled. I hope she hears me. Months later, Naomi launched Sidewalk Symphony, a non-profit providing music education to unhoused children. She performed in shelters, schools, juvenile centers, offering her story along with her sound. She told her audiences, I don't remember much about the day I was left, but I remember the day someone saw me, the day someone didn't walk past, and beside her, always, was Walter. Not just her guardian, her father. One evening after a concert, he whispered, You know what the real miracle was? She tilted her head. My music. He smiled and shook his head. If you were the one who found Naomi on that sidewalk that rainy morning, would you have stopped? And how do you think one moment of kindness can change a life forever? Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, and thank you so much for listening to Storyline Narratives.